Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Onepeg. We're going to talk about the patch that BSG put out overnight last night. There was downtime for about 3 hours. There's a bunch of patch notes. The question is whether or not this patch actually did anything or if it's just another nothing burger. The first bullet point in these patch notes was updated NVIDIA DLSS to version 2.5.1 and AMD FSR to version 2.2. So I felt it only appropriate that we test out the difference. Now, originally with the introduction of DLSS, the original introduction of DLSS was not great. There was a lot of artifacting, meaning that when you were looking at fine lines, like the tops of these railings and whatnot, there was a lot of artifacting being done. There was a lot of trails, especially if you look through things like scoped optics. Just as a matter of example, you could see the lines, the fine lines of the scoped optic kind of dragging around behind you as if there was a lot of shadowing. You could see kind of like this ever-present trail as if you were watching like the trail of a flashlight being waved around in front of you in the dark. Although right now, believe it or not, DLSS is enabled right now on this offline lighthouse. And in the old DLSS, you would see there being like a lot of trails behind these reticles, like because of the fine lines. This looks really, really good in comparison. Now, whether or not you end up actually finding some artifacting later on down the line, it's possible. But this is much more usable than what it had been in the past. Now, if I take the DLSS and I set it to off instead, there's no real discernible difference that I can tell here as long as it's on a quality setting. Now, I don't know about performance. Let's try it. Even on performance, it looks pretty good. You can tell the difference a little bit here with like the way that the water is being pixelated and whatnot versus if I turn this off. You can see, I'll make a side-by-side comparison, but you can see like with the water pixelation, it's a lot better when DLSS is off versus when it's on. But at a quality setting, there really isn't that much of a difference. DLSS quality looks really good. And now remember, this is offline mode, but we have 250, 255 FPS, let's say, with this view versus with DLSS off. Again, not that much of a difference on a system that is this beefed up, but when you're talking about like lower end systems and whatnot, I think it would do a little bit better. Now, as a reminder, something like this shouldn't really be used unless you're playing at like 1440p or 4K. At 1080p, you're not really going to see a whole lot of difference. In fact, it will probably make your game look significantly worse. Even though you'd have better frame rate, it's not really made to be upscaled from 720 to 1080 because the way that DLSS works is it takes a lower resolution and then upscales it to whatever resolution you're watching or viewing the game at in order to give you a little bit better frame rate, and it uses AI algorithms to fill in the pixels that are missing. But if you're playing at 1440p and you're looking for a little bit better frame rate, this could end up being a solution for you. Now, on to the rest of the patch notes. The next bullet point here is configured sound positioning settings on reserve and shoreline, which we will definitely be testing, and I will have a follow-up video for y'all. Adjusted sound positioning settings on streets. So again, something that we will definitely be testing. Maybe they've made the stereo adjustment from left to right on the fire. Like the cars that are on fire, the stereo is reversed for whatever reason. Increase the cloud size and spread speed of smoke grenades by 30%. Also interesting. Added an in-game mail notification system for banned players based on player report. That is something that we have desperately needed, just as a little feel good to know that they're actually doing something based on reports. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to do anything about cheating at all, but the fact that that exists is good. Adjusted the user interface for placing an offer on the flea market, taking into account the disabling of barter offers. Good. Expanded the quest area for assessment part 1. Now, the assessment part 1 task is the one that you're supposed to kill like a whole bunch of PMCs right out in front of the bridge that goes to Lighthouse, as if Lightkeeper is supposed to be able to view you like wrecking PMCs in the entryway. Now, that has been vastly expanded. So the old place where it was that you had to do this was kind of like right here on the map. Just this little bit of road like right in front of the bridge. That has been expanded to anywhere outside of the crossover of the creek to the water treatment plant. So this is the swamp village where the scavs roam. This is the village proper up the hill. Obviously, we have like the little river or the inlet from the ocean or whatever in the bridge right here that goes over to the water treatment plant up here in the north. So this entire southern area south of the water treatment plant's main bridge is fair game. So it's a vast expansion, basically counts any PMC kill on the map as long as it's not in and around the water treatment plant. This is a massive massive W for the player base because this was one of the most ridiculous tasks ever. You typically would have people just Q sniping each other and having a bunch of naked guys just stand over here in the corner and let one of them kill you so that they could get progress on the task. It was BS. Fixes. Fix one of the disconnect causes. Fix multiple visual issues with scopes when using DLSS and FSR of older versions. There you go. Blurriness, lack of clarity. We just talked about that. That's awesome. So I'm glad that they did something with it. Fix the excessive vegetation sway that occurred during long raids. So that's one of those things that a lot of people wouldn't notice. At the beginning of raids, you wouldn't really see the trees move all that much. But as time went on, you would see the trees progressively get like worse and worse in terms of like how much sway there was in the trees. It was kind of funny. They would just keep like resonating further and further out of center. They fixed some memory leaks that cause excessive RAM consumption when the game was running for extended periods of time. So that's good. They fixed some texture memory leaks that cause excessive RAM consumption when the game was running for extended period of time. So that's good. Memory leaks being fixed are always a good thing. Object culling issues on various locations. Fix the ability to install conflicting attachments on some weapons. My guess is that this has something to do with the M4 build that allowed you to be able to put attachments where you shouldn't have been able to put attachments, specifically the jailbreak and then using the Thor. Hopefully that's been fixed. I didn't check it though. Fix the ability to look through some walls on Reserve, Interchange Factory, the lab, and Shoreline. Again, people being able to like prone lean through a wall and be able to see other players standing in certain pieces of geometry was always BS. Fixed incorrect audio system behavior at the first indoor gunshot or explosion. So one of those things that would always happen on the inside of buildings is if you were standing outside and somebody would end up firing a single round indoors, the first round that fired was like crazy loud and for whatever reason could be heard like all the way across the map. It's just one of those weird things. This is more and more common with key usage still, gunshots that get fired off. Every once in a while it would also happen with people using VoIP in game. You would hear it like super loud and then all of a sudden it would get quiet. It seemed like it was very prevalent at the beginning of the wipe, like, and people would complain about this with Steam Audio. It's something to do with the core audio engine, though, because it still happens with Oculus. Hopefully, this is something that they're, I guess, continuing to work on. So, main takeaways, we're going to test this out. I'm obviously going to do a whole bunch of audio testing, and we're gonna check out the common bugs on the Shoreline and Interchange maps that they're talking about here and see if there's been any adjustments. Obviously, this is something that people want to know about, so I'll do some additional work. I'm going to be live as soon as this video is live, so come and check me out if you want to see some of the testing get done, and we'll see you in the next one in the meantime, okay? Peace.